Record. All right. Logan, can you see me in the phone view? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sweet. All right. Everyone, say hello to the virtual world. Hello, virtual world.
Hi. Hello.
Okay. Let's get started. Okay. So we don't have as much time today to get through all this content. So we have until, let's see, we have until 9:50 to get through this lesson. So I'm going to set 30 minutes.
Wait, where is it now?
There's 30 minutes.
Mr. Dummer, don't eat the mask.
That's okay. I'm going through it all right now. So if you didn't get all the notes finished right now, that's okay. Okay, so first off, I want to show you guys this little video because I know it's kind of hard to remember how all the classification of all the classifying objects go. So there's a little song, a little jingle to remember it, and it's kind of more of a modern song. So I'll show you guys this. So Kaylin, we're recording on this, so it's going to pick up your voice more than it's going to pick up my voice. Yes. No, not.
It was a little bit periodic.
It was cheesy. I will give you that. Yeah, Kaylin.
Where's that? I don't have to worry about where, because is it the end? I feel like it's focused on May.
Species, yeah, by the time you get to species, that's where you're going to have just one species left, like Homo sapien, that's a human. No, that's how the whole classifying order works, is you start at the very top, the domain. So which domain is it a part of? Then you go to the kingdom. Which kingdom is it a part of? And that goes down to phylum. Yep. That's how you classify every animal, every plant, every bacteria, everything. So eubacteria, which is what we're going to be going over in lesson 1.3.4, that's the largest kingdom.
How would you classify?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a part of this yet. They might have already put that in here. Okay, so first I have one warm-up question for you guys today. So bacteria versus archaea. What role in sustaining life did God give the bacteria? Why is bacteria important? Yeah, okay. Madeline? So our body has a job. Yeah, that's part of it. William?
It helps you digest food.
Helps you digest food? Yep.
That you're so
Nothing's going to work yet. Jaden? Yep, helps plants and organisms grow. Bethy?
It fights off bad bacteria.
Also fights off bad bacteria, disease. Yep.
Bacteria and the processes that go throughout the body.
Every single process, bacteria is there in some way to help, also to hinder. It helps and it can also hinder, but that's with every system that we have in our body. So all those answers were correct, but a little bit more of a straight on answer that the book likes. So bacteria break down dead matter, which would build up in ecosystems. Without bacteria, people could not survive. So everything you guys just said, correct answer. So if you want to, I'm fine with you guys writing down your own answer for that, because this is your notes and I want you guys to have your own definition. This is more what's coming from the book and what works for me. If something else works better for you, then write that down. So we are starting the bacteria versus archaea section. Yep, we're going to start comparing and contrasting between the two. Ian. Yeah. What? The flagella? Do they what? Yeah, they help them move. Yep, that's part of their purpose. Kingdom. Final class. Now that song is stuck in my head. Okay, let's move on to the next.
I think that song would be better with different words.
It would be.
And I got
Okay, so Yeah, finish up this one. So the next slide is the definitions. If you haven't written the definitions down, get them written down now because those are all in your book. They're all in your book, but I'm sure most of you have already gotten those down from our 15 minutes of warm-up. Okay, so Archaea, prokaryote, and bacteria. I'll have one person read out a definition of each. So Evan, can you read the first one, Archaea? Prokaryotic, yep. Yep. So it is unicellular, or did you say unicellular, right? Yeah. So Archaea, unicellular means just only one cell, right? So humans and most other, all other animals and all other plants, we are all multicellular. Billions and billions, I think it actually is trillions of cells make up every structure of our body, every part of our body. Then we move on to prokaryote. Can someone read that one for me? Caleb, could you read that for me, please? Prokaryote.
A unicellular microorganism that lacks a distinct nucleus.
Yes. So prokaryote, difference there is there's no nucleus. No nucleus with a prokaryote.
But when it is
Yeah, yep, they would use binary fission. Good. Good. Yeah, Madeline? Yeah, go ahead and read bacteria. Prokaryote.
Prokaryote. A unicellular organism belongs to the bacteria.
Yes. Yep. So it is, a bacteria is a type of prokaryote. Okay. And it is also unicellular. So just one cell. Only one cell. All right. So that is the definitions you guys need to have written down. So now let's look at the similarities of the two. So some of the similarities, they are both unicellular prokaryotes. They are both unicellular prokaryotes. They are both helpful, and then they are also harmful at the same time. Yep, that's the last point. So scientists do not know exactly how many species there are in each domain. So for example, there's a lot of controversy in the science world about whether viruses, if they belong in bacteria or Archaea kingdom, or if they need to just create their own kingdom for viruses. So there's a lot of controversy. I know I said yesterday that they do belong in bacteria. That's because there are some sources that say it belongs in bacteria or it belongs in Archaea. But there are some sources that are saying, like our book, that there is some scientists, so in the future, within the next 10 years, we might have another kingdom where viruses and other diseases will be a part of that. So maybe COVID-19 will be a part of that. Yeah.
virus area.
Huh?
Kingdom virus area.
Kingdom virus area? Maybe. You should pitch that idea. Huh? Vira Kingdom. Yeah.
We should call coronavirus #1.
Huh?
Co-kingdom.
Co-kingdom.
Which kingdom would viruses be in?
That's the thing, there's controversy. Some scientists put it under bacteria, some people put it under Archaea, and some scientists, they are saying we need to create a new kingdom for them because they are so small and they don't really fit into bacteria or Archaea. So since bacteria and Archaea, since they're so small, we have to see everything under a microscope. There's still some controversy. People don't know where some species are supposed to go. So that's why there could be still some kingdoms added to our domains. So yeah, science is always changing. Science is always changing. Same with math, same with everything. Even history. History is changing every single day. Look at what we're going through today. 20 years from now, when you guys are my age, you guys might have your own kids and you'll be saying, hey, I lived back in 2020 and I lived through the coronavirus. You guys will only be like 30, but That's besides the point. You can have 50 children. Holy cow.
You remember the coronavirus from like 20 years ago?
Right? Yep. We'll be in the history books one day.
Been 2 decades since that.
Uh-huh.
When I was the quarantine.
Yep. All right. So let's go through the differences. All right. Here's the differences between bacteria and archaea that we know of. So the structure of archaea is different from bacteria. So the structure of archaea is different. Not necessarily, because there are other differences. So archaea, they also live in extreme environments. So they live in extreme hot, extreme cold. So one of the extremes, bacteria, some bacteria, they are going to die if you put them in too hot of weather or too cold of weather. So that's another big difference between the two. You're not going to find bacteria and archaea in the same places.
Why do archaea live in extreme environments?
In extreme environments, I'm not exactly sure why they are able to survive in those environments, but they can. Something about how they have been able to survive, God placed them in those areas, and that's another thing people are still researching, is why are they in that area? And so,
I wonder.
yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know that. Those are good questions. Good questions. So the last point, there are fewer known archaea. Since they are in these more extreme environments, it's hard for humans to go into those extreme environments, like, say, Antarctica. There's just less of everything in Antarctica. There's less of everything in the desert, right? So those extreme climate changes, there's just less of everything. So there's still going to be discoveries of archaea 10 years from now, 20 years from now, just like how on the periodic table, we're discovering new elements almost yearly, more like within every 5 to 10 years. So that is bacteria versus archaea. Am I recording? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. So that is lesson 1.3.3. That was a shorter lesson. Yep. So on to lesson 1.3.4. This one's a little bit bigger. We got about 15 minutes to get this finished up. Okay. Yeah. So we got a lot of definitions here to write down.
Oh yeah, I wrote it
Got
down.
5 of them. Yep, that's another reason why I wanted you guys to start early, is because there was 5 different definitions here. So if we don't have enough time, I would write down all 5 of these words at least and write down the definition later. So first vocab word is botanist. Second word is eukaryote. Third is lichen. That's pronounced lichen. Some people pronounce it lichen, but it's not lichen, it's lichen. The fourth one is protist. And then our last one is, has anyone heard of this before? This last one? Zoologist.
Yes.
Yep. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of that before. So we have botanist, eukaryote, lichen, protist, and zoologist. Jaden, can you read botanist out of your book for me, please? A scientist who studies plants. So one of you could be a botanist one day. You could study plants.
No.
That's an option. It's a job that you could have. Just saying. Okay, then there is, I don't want to study plants either, I'm going to be honest. But for some people, you could. Then we have eukaryote. Ian, could you read the definition of eukaryote, please? Page 51. Yep. So eukaryote, that's where humans fall. That's where all the mammals fall. Plants, that's where we all fall. We are eukaryotes. We fall into that class, or into that kingdom, sorry. We fall into the eukaryote. No, sorry, that's a domain. Eukaryote domain.
Oh.
I think I spelled it right. Zoologist. So yep, eukaryote, multicellular. So that means a bunch of cells, more than 2 cells. 2 or more cells. which you are composed of a lot of cells. Plants composed of a lot of cells. Every animal composed of a lot of cells. That's a good question. I have no idea. So we have a prokaryote, which unicellular, only one cell. Eukaryote, lots of cells, lots of cells. Then we have lichen. Lichen, Aries, can you read the definition of lichen?
An organism formed by symbiotic relationship between fungus and alga or cyanobacteria.
Yes. Yes. Mhm. And then we have protist. Protist. Yeah, William. Mm-hmm. So it is not classified in so an animal, a plant, or a fungi. That's why we have a protist off on its own island, because it has different different things that are special about the protist that is not the same for fungi, not the same for a plant, not the same for an animal. And then the last one we have is zoologist. Bethany, can you read zoologist?
A scientist who studies animals.
A scientist who studies animals. Who wants to study animals one day? No? I mean, I study my dog every day, but I'm not getting paid for it. If anything, I'm having to pay a lot to keep my dog alive, pay for his food, pay for his vet bills.
I'm not a dog.
But I'm not a zoologist.
We've never taken our dog to that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, your leg's broken. It's a waste of time.
Perfectly.
It's good to get shots, though. Yep. Okay, so let's move on from the vocab words. We got still about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Okie doke. So now we have a eukaryote versus prokaryote. So we went over this a little bit already. I can't remember if it was the first lesson of this chapter or the second lesson. One of the two, I talked about it. But prokaryotes, so here's the difference. Prokaryotes, they are microscopic. They are unicellular, so one cell. And then third, they have no nucleus. So if you can see in this little picture right here of the prokaryote, there is no nucleus. There's a nucleoid, or nucleotide. There's a cell membrane, there's ribosomes, but there's also a cell wall. So eukaryote doesn't have that. There's a flagellum. Eukaryote doesn't have that. Then there's a capsule on the outside, which a eukaryote doesn't have either. So there's a lot of differences, but these are the main ones I want you to know. Prokaryotes, they're microscopic. They're microscopic. They're only one cell, and then they don't have a nucleus. Yes, Courtney. The flagellum. What about it? Yeah, eukaryotes, they don't have flagellum. So that is another thing you could add, but these are the three main ones that your book wants you to know and that you will be quizzed or tested on. Because I'm not trying to give you guys too many things to remember. Yeah. Kathy.
That's possibly an of or
Yeah, it's supposed to be an or. One or more cells.
That's what I thought. I feel that.
One of more. I think I was doing this one yesterday when someone was probably asking me a question. I was trying to multitask and I wrote of instead of or.
I do that.
Yep. One or more cells. One or more cells. And then most importantly, a eukaryote is going to have a nucleus. A eukaryote always has a nucleus. But there are some cases where it will have two nuclei. And that is, I went over that I think in the last chapter, that would be an example of like skeletal muscle. So when your guys' muscles, you're going to have two nuclei, but we're not going to go over that. That's something you will go over if you ever get into more health science. Like I did, I got into exercise science. How is calculus? How fun is it? It's fun. I like calculus. I like calculus, I like stats. I wasn't very good at geometry. Was a little harder for me though.
How many of the likes calculus?
A lot of them, because those are more people who are trying to specialize in math, because usually that's what you take in college. Because you're not required to take calculus. Okay. Right. Did I stall long enough, guys? I think I did. Okay, now we have our different kingdoms. Our different kingdoms that are within Eukarya. So the 4 different kingdoms within this domain, we have Animalia, we have Plantae, Protists, and Fungi. So remember, Animalia, that has all the animals in it, mammals. Within the plant kingdom, you're going to have plants. You're going to have fungi within the fungi kingdom, and then protist within the protista kingdom. So in the kingdom of Animalia, you will have like reptiles, fish, insects. So that is where you get into the next part of after kingdom is green part. Go back real quick. Green part. Phylum, there we go. Phylum. So phylum is where you would get that classification of, is it a mammal? Is it a reptile? What is it? Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, sorry. So Animalia, Plantae, Protista, and Fungi. Some kind of bunny.
It's a bunny.
Some kind of bunny.
It's a bunny.
All right. So a little bit about each of these kingdoms, but I'm not going to go into the kingdom Animalia because that one's a little bit easier for everyone to grasp. So I'm not going to go, I don't have a slide for that one. So kingdom Protista, this is usually one of the ones that can trip up people. So 3 main points I want you to know. It consists of unicellular organisms with a nucleus. So something interesting about the Protista kingdom is it only has one cell. It only has one cell, but it has a nucleus. It has a nucleus. So only containing one cell, but it has a nucleus. That's why it's not a part of the prokaryotes. That's why it's part of the Eukarya kingdom, because it has a nucleus, but it is microscopic. Second point, some are multicellular. Green algae, giant kelp would be an example. So some of them, there is multi-cells. So in that case, you would be able to see them like green algae, giant kelp, because they have a nucleus, but there are a lot of cells because it has to make up that big piece of algae. Everyone's seen algae before in like water or wherever. So in the kingdom of Protista, things that you would not, it would not fall under is bacteria does not fall under the Protista kingdom. Fungi does not fall in there, neither do plants or animals. So that one's a given. Caleb, do you have your hand up or scratching? Yeah.
I found out that the big dogs
Mm-hmm. That is cool. Yep. Yeah, Jane. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah, I don't really like kelp either. The texture of it's gross. Yeah. All right, guys, we only have 2 more slides and we have less than 5 minutes to get this finished up so we can go to math. So get this one finished up. Finish it up. If you don't get this last point, that's okay. This is just saying that it's not bacteria, fungi, plants, or animals. Okay, so kingdom fungi. Fungi. It's fungi, not fungi. This includes non-green organisms that reproduce through spores and they absorb their food. So, like a mushroom, it's going to fall under fungi. Yeah, 7. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of mushrooms that are poisonous. Yep. I don't know what types there are, but I know there are some poisonous ones. So they're non-green organisms. The way they reproduce is through spores, and they absorb their food. Can a mushroom grow in your lungs? No. You can have like fungus on your feet. That's what I showed in the through with athletes. But so you can get fungus. Pretty much any of it getting too dirty. So wet socks is another way. Yeah. If your foot's not cleaned properly, or yeah, Madeline. I guess a lab. Yeah, I haven't thought of that. Let me write that down. I'm hoping to. That's one of the reasons I had you guys have goggles, is so we could dissect the bugs. I know, but we're not going to get to that until the later part of the year. It's an already dead frog. Okay, so kingdom plante. So the kingdom of plants. The kingdom of plants. They are multicellular organisms, so they have more than one cell, and they make their own food through photosynthesis. So how do they get their food? From the sun. Do we as humans get our food from the sun?
Yes.
No, we do not. We are not able to just go lay out in the sun and be like, oh, I'm so full now, I'm overweight from all this sun. No, that's not how that works.
Overweight
we
plants.
get, overweight plants.
Overweight plants are
Have you seen the Magic
No.
School Bus where they go into a plant and the plant just take all the sugar?
I haven't, no. I gotta finish up, William, I gotta finish up. So they reproduce through seeds or spores. So they are gonna reproduce through seeds or spores. So kind of similar to the fungi in that regard. They're gonna reproduce through spores or through seeds. Most of them are gonna reproduce through seeds. Some of the main ones that you guys are thinking of. Yeah, Aries? For humans? I mean, it's not great for you, no. But it's not going to kill you.
What will it do?
Could make you sick. But it's not that bad. I think this is the last one. Yeah, that's the last one. Oh, perfect timing. So that is the last slide. Your guys' homework for tonight. There is no homework. So good for you guys. So once you're done, you can put away your science. I forgot my meme. I was too busy. I'm sorry, I apologize. I'll put 2 memes in the next one even.
Good.
Because this was such a short lesson, I couldn't make one.
I made a meme. Can I email it to you?
Yes, you can email it to me.